Okay, I realized that OBS did not actually remember the last settings, which means I've actually just scheduled a live stream rather than starting one. Let's go ahead and get rid of that one real quick before we begin. It's on the other monitor and cool. Perfect. All right. So, we're back here. What do we need? We need to get the new animation in place. Okay. Let's get that ball rolling. Railway service tunnel. This is the entry location. There's supposed to be some stuff here for the player to move out of the way. Okay, see, the biggest pain in the ass is synchronizing stuff that's in Godot and stuff that's in Blender. Like, there's some props, some tables, some stuff that's around here. We need to find a way to synchronize it. And a lot of stuff that needs to be animated, so yay. Oh yeah, not to mention, when we export things, let's say if the player needs to interact with multiple objects, we cannot have multiple armatures in one GLTF file because you can only export one at a time. So what do we do? Well, I feel like we should be able to maybe set up everything within this blend file and then get it imported into the player project. Maybe even do it as a linked object. Give it a local user override. Animate everything in the player project. But get it exported locally here. As a matter of fact, technically, we don't need everything here. We just need this room. So hypothetically, if I do this, we're gonna P separate by selection. This is the start room dash call, give it collisions, and then put it in the collection start room. Okay, so if we're importing something into the player scene, we're only importing this guy. Everything else can stay the way it is. Okay. Hopefully this works. But now I need some sort of a shelf. A shelf for the player to move out of the way. We do have a bunch of shelves that we've prepped before, but I have something particularly in mind for this. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yes. It's not the fastest way to do it, but okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, these are supposed to be shelves that actually look like shelves. Oh, that's not what I want. There we go. Center point is in the middle. We're gonna do an array. Hey, good day. Oh, there we go. There's Zoltan. No senoritas for sure. Okay. Okay, well, this technically could work. I'm not sure if this is gonna look greatest when it's up against the player camera. Have I already made that shelf? I made a shelf, but I need a shelf that can be rigged and animated. And if I use that shelf, then every instance of that shelf is going to be rigged and animated without ever needing to use that rig and armature. So there's not really a whole lot of point in using that one, right? This is more of a single purpose solution. You know, don't need to have every single shelf have a armature on it, because you know that that's run in the shader. A long-winded way of selecting those faces. We got it. Shelf with bones. Mm-hmm. Don't want it to have the same number of shelves as the other one. There we go. Used some dude. Used the keyboard more than the mouse in Blender. Yeah, I'd imagine at some point you get tired of not making a lot of progress. Man, this looks like ass. Hmm. Dang it. Not what I wanted to do. What do we want to do here? Oh, I'm gonna take the other one. Alrighty. Suit yourself. So that construction actually seems a bit more appropriate. Okay, cool. Looked a little sketchy for a second there, but we got it. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Hey, come on, go back. My God, that's I've just destroyed it. Okay. Let's try that again. Sure. Funny thing is the low poly without subdivision actually looks pretty much the part. More or less. Okay, that's fine. No subdivision necessary. Sure. Wait, what the? Mm-hmm. Let's make sure the transformation is along the cursor. All right, that's good. Okay, this is the shelf. How are we gonna handle this whole thing? It's a one-time event. I think we can just keep it in this scene, simply export it exactly where it's at the moment. And when we import it, it will just appear exactly where it is at right now. Okay. That could work. And we'll be able to export it separately with its animations in place. Okay, so what does that look like? Engine, models, locations. Rail service tunnel GLB. Get that exported. Any day now. While this is exporting, what's everybody up to? Come on now. Right eye watching Money Heist, left eye watching you. Got it. And then your wife walks into the room and says, "Look me in the eye when I'm talking to you." That's when your third eye opens up. It's like, "Yes, honey. Sure thing, honey. Yeah, I got you, honey." Okay. That is the level. We don't want the level. That. Yes, which it's actually in a pretty good spot. So we don't need these two. Okay, this is going to be toppled over, and then it'll have its own animation to start. Cool. Now, how's the player gonna arrive here? I think they're gonna go through here, duck underneath a beam, some piece of collapsed infrastructure. Yeah, something like this. The logistics of it are going to be figured out later. Just going to leave enough place here for space here for the player animation. Nice. Okay, so player ducks under, comes out on the other side, moves the shelf out of the way. And then when they get through it, they get to the door, push that open, and then get out. Okay, that's the idea. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's good. We now need to go to the player hands rig and somehow get this inside. So we're going to try to link. What are we linking? Locations, Rails service. We're going to go collection, start room. Okay, so that places it over there. Which is okay. We just need to make sure that by the time the player exits, they are on the outside. So we want the player finishing point to be something like this. Actually, something like this. Because by the time they exit, they'll be looking to the side, which is over there, which means they'll be looking over there, like this. Now, we need to have some sort of a reference object, which we have this thing. You can just copy it, go over here, place it, selection to cursor. Oh, that's not it. I don't want the whole armature. Just want this. Interesting. Alt P. There we go. Kind of guesstimating here. Something like this. We know that the door's gonna have to close. Okay, now this needs to reload. How do we reload the library asset? Which is not actually a library asset, it's just a linked asset. Relations. Or users. So this is a part of a start room collection. Yes. So logic would dictate if I update it here, it should get updated here. Hmm. Let's see. Link, append. I think we linked it. Okay. I don't want to make local. That defeats the purpose. Link transfer data. Okay, let's look this up. Okay, so we just save and reopen this whole file. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, well that's great and all, but that's not really what I need. Okay, hold on. I see something there. Okay, I think that is the part. It's not in the right place though. It's all the way in the middle of nowhere. Hmm. Unless it needs to be parented. Nope. Okay, it does get rid of the object. Okay, let's make sure we keep it in here. Oh, what the heck? It has animations. That shouldn't be happening. That's probably why it wasn't being updated properly. Hey, there we go. That's what we need. It's a little awkward, to be honest, to be animating things from... Whoops. To be animating things from the perspective of the final point. Cool. So that lines up the whole scene with the exit of the player being here. Actually, that might not be... If we do this, the player would have to open the door inwards, because otherwise when the door closes, they would end up... The door would end up passing through the camera. Unless I position this thing a little bit further. Like this. Mm-hmm. We'll just move it back. So that's where the player would be. Cool. All right. Now, let's get back here. So we know that this shelf needs to be animatable. Okay. Nice. We can focus only on the selected object. It's quite handy. Just gonna make an armature. Mm-hmm. When the player is moving this thing out of the way, I wanted to give it so like a twisting, bit of a twisting motion. Mm-hmm. Now the root bone should be non-deform. This is door. This is right half, left half. Okay, cool. We're gonna do this with automatic weights, because then, you know, we have that, except, because nothing is really connected. Interesting. I don't think there's any other way to map, to link an object. There's no other algorithms. Which means if I truly wish to make this effect work, everything has to be a part of the same geometry. Now, how much do I really want this effect? I suppose is the next question. Okay, I'm gonna try something. This may or may not work. I'm gonna try it anyways. Okay, we have this thing. What happens if I quad remesh it? Okay. Okay. Yes. Is it one piece of geometry? It is one piece of geometry. Holy crap. Okay. Cool. Now that's quite a lot. But we can play around with it once more. Okay. So let's try 2000 vertices, fully adaptive. Okay. It's a little messy in a couple of places. The funny thing is we don't really even have to mind this, because it's going to be either out of view or, well, it's damage. What density? Defines the color to paint the control locally. The desired quad density variations using draw tool in vertex paint mode. Okay. Let's stick to this for now. So this shelf is a little messed up. But the rest looks surprisingly okay. All right. How much is this? 22,000 vertices. Let me double check. Let me double check the pairing. So if I take the object, automatic weights, then pose mode, preferably. It still doesn't. Well, hold on a second. This is the retopologized twisted shelf. Okay, so it didn't actually keep things separate. Well, hold on a sec. Did it? Did it not? Nope. No. Okay, so separate objects stayed separate, so this is kind of redundant. Okay, so if we really want to achieve this effect, we're gonna have to do some cuts. Do. Okay. Hmm. Okay, now this is gonna be fully destructive. Hmm. Okay, something like this. Let's see now. Okay, it's starting to look like it. Loop paths does not work well on deformed edit mesh display. What are you talking about? Oh, deformed edit mesh. Okay. That's because we deformed it using this guy. Well. I suppose this is an issue with having malleable or twisty components. Hmm. This almost seems like it's not worth it. Hmm. Technically, hold on a sec. Let's roll back as far as we can. Okay, so this is where we did the retopo. Technically, we could treat the shelf, the closed shelf part. We could treat it as... Oh, hello. Let's get back here. We could treat it as a solid piece, so it's going to have its own bone. So we'll do something like this. Middle. Bone segment for each shelf. Yeah. I think that's one way to do it. Okay. So that's better. least I think once we start moving it, it's gonna look like it's twisting, and then we can push the other piece in place. Okay. Now, I'm just gonna take this. We're gonna say left half fully assigned. R, Y. RX, RX. Almost. Right half, remove. Middle, remove. Okay, there we go. So now these pieces are moving together, which means I think this is the same exact problem with wrist twist. It's basically the same issue. Left half remove, right half remove. And then this is right half assign, remove, remove. There we go. Yeah, that works. We're not really going to see it that much. Oh, yes. One more thing. We do have to keep in mind the orientation from which these are going to be animated, which is going to be from the front. So you gotta keep it this way. Both of these are going to move together. Nice. Okay, now that's fine and dandy. Except now, here, we need to get it to update. Nice. And we need to now take this armature. Okay, so we need to make a local layer or local user. Fake user. Instance for scene. Instance select the collection to active scene. Okay, we don't want to make local because that unlinks it. Although there's a dedicated unlink button here. Library override. It's not a library though. Okay, let's take a look. Change properties of linked object. Library override system. That's what it is. Designed to allow editing linked data while keeping it in sync with the original library data. Yes. Okay, make an override. Header object library override make outliner. Context menu library override. Okay, these are just different ways to achieve it. Okay, object library override make. Uh-huh. Okay, there we go. So that exposes everything inside. Should probably give them proper names though. So this armature. This is shelf armature. Okay, let's open it back up. Shelf armature. Nice. The only problem is that it moved all the way back here. That's lovely. Let me actually try something. Since we're experimenting with this stuff. Let's see. Library override. Clear or reset. Neither, apparently. Okay, lovely. Lovely. Let's do this. Let's just delete this. Because I want to see if it's possible to actually do this properly. Delete hierarchy. Service tunnel. Link. Start room. Okay, so that positions it. So I suppose maybe the first thing we have to do is create a library override. So this is going to be make. There we go. Started playing with libraries to find it useful. I've used them very seldomly, but I think with the more complex projects, we're going to start using them quite a bit more. So, you know, can't vouch entirely, but I think we're using them for their designed purpose. Select objects. Okay. Okay, that seems as close as it really needs to be. Mm-hmm. Dang it. We've had recording enabled this whole time. That's not what we want. Okay. I think this should be good. Okay, so that's in the right position. The final position is the player neutral state. And then we have this shelf armature action. Okay, shelf move out of way. We're going to protect it. This is going to be Rail service. Surivse. Oh, yes. Rail service shelf move out of way. Okay. So this has to be rotated. Preferably on the local axis. Okay, that's not the most useful camera angle. But okay, we're here. Give me motion sickness. You're welcome. Glad to have helped. Okay. So if this is leaning this way, maybe we can make the pillar be rotated the other way. Yeah, so we're not ducking in the same direction twice in a row. Okay. Well, that didn't get updated. Beam. Don't tell me that when we create an override, it doesn't inherit any changes. Oh, really? Come on, man. Reset. Selected. Where did it go? Son of a... Oh, it's like all over there. Well, we don't want it to go there. Resync. Okay. Oh, you know what? I think it's because the beam was rotated as an independent object, not in relation to the room. So we need to make this be a parent of the room. Or maybe we can do this. We can make a single point plane axis. You know what? Actually, yeah. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna make it assign itself. There we go. So it copies the transforms. We're then going to clear the parent, keep the transforms, and then we're going to take the entire start room, make that be the parent of this object, and then start room pivot. Okay. Good. So everything now is relevant to that node. So if we rotate that node, we rotate around this point. Now, go back here. Can we salvage this? Okay, that's in the middle of nowhere. So that's probably a no. That's fine. Let's link start room. Okay. We are then going to make an override. this gives us this point, which happens to perfectly line up with that node. Okay, so that's in place now. Next question, if I were to go back here and do this, and then go back here, reload, it does update it. Okay, so that's good. And it does have an override. Okay, cool. That works. So we just have to keep that in mind. If we are importing, linking an environment into the player, it's easier to make sure that that entire environment has a single common pivot point in relation to which we can rotate everything. Okay, now, can we reclaim this animation? Rail? Ah, okay. So that's not good. That's all the way over there. Why did that happen? Okay, that's fine. Okay, I'm just gonna create a cube real quick for the sole purpose of selecting this animation, unlinking it. Yep, that has 0 users. Hopefully. I'm gonna open it. Yep. Save it again. Oh. And there we go. So that's gone. Cool. Okay, so we're gonna assume that it's at about this angle. There's gonna be a table here. We'll be able to adjust that table in the engine. And we'll just place the props around the available space after we have all of this. Okay. Okay, now, before we move on, we do need one more prop. We need the actual exit door. Mm-hmm. Probably it would help if the center point for this is located in a reasonable space. Only then the mirror is actually going to bother to work. But we do need to have a pivot point. And the door... Okay, do we want to open this inwards or outwards? Hmm. If it's inwards, then we gotta struggle to pull it up. If it's outwards, we gotta push it in. I guess we can push it out. That's fine. So in that case, I'm going to do a plane axis here. Door axis. Parent it. Good. It's a mighty massive ass door. Damn. Okay. Now that's fine. The only thing is we're technically supposed to use an armature for this. This is a root bone, and we're not supposed to be animating the root bone. So I'm going to make the door. Root bone should be non-deform. Automatic weights. Actually, no. Because I'm actually going to make the bone stick out this way. There we go. Yeah, just want to make sure that the door isn't still parented to this. This, however, should be parented to this, so that all transforms are relative. In this case, I don't think I need that axis anymore. There we go. Now this does mean that the hinges would be on the outside, but let's say this is just an oversight in bad civil engineering. Let's leave it at that. Well, now. Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay. Now, logically, that should update here. Nice. All right. Well, I have everything set up by the looks of it. All I need to do is just animate the player, and that we can do in a little bit. Gotta take a break because it's been an hour and a half. It's a little bit too much time to send still. Send still. Yeah, there you go. I can't even speak. So yes, we'll take a break. Come back. I'll stop the stream, and we'll return. Okay, perfect.